Hello and thanks for staying with us right here on Bernama TV. I'm RATNAM. In a world paralyzed by shifting geopolitics, Malaysia is taking a stand where it matters most. Today, we look at the Sumut Flotilla. Have you heard of it? Well, if you haven't, stay with us. We'll be finding out a little bit more about that. It's not merely as a delivery of aid, but as an uncompromising act of global defiance. Now, joining me is BALQIS SUHAIMI of Cinta, Salam, Malaysia. Having faced naval interception firsthand, she's here to reframe Gaza not as a regional dispute but as a universal crisis of conscience. IYLIA, thank you so much for joining us. Selamat petang, and it's good to have you here. Now, I'd like to begin with this. You were part of the Sumut Flotilla. When things got hard or got difficult when you were at sea, was there any particular story from Gaza that stayed with you and kept you going while you were at sea?
I don't have a particular story about Gaza because what is happening is a live stream genocide. So there are a lot of things that is happening in Gaza. But what motivates me the most, what we have to focus is actually the Palestinians who have been living under an oppressed, assaulted and attacked for more than 8 decades, living through a genocide and ethnic cleansing. So these are the stories that motivates or that give us the responsibility to be on the flotilla. So and we can see like how they have been living through this kind of crisis, and they still ongoing. They are still living. They are still persevere. That is why the name of our mission is Global Sumut Flotilla, and that is where the Sumut come from.
What is Sumut? Can you explain to us what
Sumut actually means steadfastness. So we can see like how it goes far beyond patience. Patience is like when we have a test, we are being patient with it. But when we are talking about steadfastness, they are patient with it, but they are still continuing their life as it is. So that is what we are facing, or we are feeling throughout the 30 days of sailing on the international water.
Right. So when you look back at your life and you're now working for an NGO, most of your work is done about understanding what happened to the people of Gaza and the disenfranchisement they go through on a daily basis. But having said that, when did you first start knowing about what's happening in Gaza? At what age?
I have to say, like, we know that this has been happening in Gaza, but I didn't have like fully knowledge about it. So once I because I started in humanitarian activism since 19 years old, but that merely I focus on Syrian issues because I've been studying in Jordan. So we have Syrian refugee living in Syria. So that time I didn't even focus on Palestinian. But then I graduated and continued after my work in NGO called Cinta, Salam, Malaysia. Only then we are focused, or we are expanding our knowledge on Palestinian. And then I am dealing firsthand on 7 October 2023 when the first Taufan al-Aqsa hit. So I am being the person behind the NGOs that give message, advocate to the Malaysian what were happening in Gaza and Palestine.
Now, let's talk about the confrontation whilst you were at sea. Take us back to the moments of that confrontation when you were facing warships and water cannons, and also help us understand how does a non-violent activist hold on to the spirit of what you talked about just now, steadfastness.
I think non-violence is actually didn't show us that when we were being intercepted, we were holding our hands up here. It doesn't mean that we were we were failing or we were
giving up.
No, it shows that we have no weapon because this mission is non-violence and we didn't bring weapons, so we need to show to the people.
What are we looking at here?
Yeah, I think that is me.
That's you.
That is our footage on Al-Mabud. So this is our interception position.
Right.
We have to be in a circle because later on the Israeli army will come on board to our flotilla, and then they start checking what if we have any weapons. They start to take off the Wi-Fi and all the CCTV to shut us from delivering from advocating what was happening on the boat to the world. So, but then that is what leave the Malaysians and in curiosity what were happening on the boat actually during that day. So you can see that they are raising their hands up, not saying that we were giving up. No, we were showing that we have no weapon, and this is a non-violence mission. So, and that actually. We actually stand by that. We didn't even, when we were raising our hands up, we didn't feel any fear. We actually feel more brave, and actually we feel so mad because we couldn't do anything. And actually that is actually something, because later on that is actually an act of resistance, because we stay silent, we didn't do anything. And even
did they ask you questions?
They just asked, they didn't ask a question, they just spot check us, and then they were coming and they were treating us very good, very kindly actually. But we know that they have like a camera on their vest, and that is what they are using for their media propaganda. So we are being taught not to receive any water, any food, or any assistance from the army, because that will be used for their media propaganda.
So whatever they do as an act of kindness or as an act of service, whilst in the midst of conducting these raids, would be used as propaganda. And you knew that before you guys got on the flotilla.
Yeah, because the flotilla, Global Smoke Flotilla, is actually not the first attempt. It is actually the 38th attempt to break the siege and to break the silence. So we have experienced people like Greta Thunberg, we have Tiago, we have Yasmin. They have been intercepted before, and Greta mentioned this because she had experienced this personally. Greta is a very I think a very strong woman that is being feared by the President of United States. So she mentioned that even a short millisecond, 0.001 second, if you just she didn't smile, she just really like do this, they shot the face, and then they put Greta was being happy intercepted also. So that's why Greta mentioned like not to smile, not to give any assistance, because she have had that kind of experience.
Right now, beyond whether aid arrived or not, some critics focus on the aid that should go there, should reach Gaza. From your perspective, did the flotilla succeed in, let's say, just to put it in simple terms, breaking the silence? And I think what it was trying to do, but correct me if I'm wrong, was also trying to gain global attention.
Yeah, exactly. The mission was actually first to break the silence, and the second one is to break the siege. So we knew that the 38th attempt to do is to break the siege, but they never broke the silence. They never got to broke the silence, because in 2010 we have Mavi Marmara that were being attacked. That broke the silence for a short while. But now we can see, like, since the beginning of our sailing from 31st August, the people were flooding in Barcelona port. They were supporting, and then we went to Tunisia. There were people supporting our mission. So that is what we see, like we have broke the silence. And when we seeing when we seeing the success of the mission by the physical arrival of the mission to Gaza, we actually missing the broader impact, because we can see like how the international have now spoken about Palestinian, about global smoke mission, global smoke flotilla. And also during the mission, the 1 month sailing, we have United Nations General Assembly, where we can see the nation or the country that were once being silenced, now they are accepting or what we see, they are, I forgot that term. They have become, or they are now in support. Yeah, they are now in support in Palestine, and they recognize the state, or the Palestinian state. So that is the shift that we can see. And then we can see like how the people in Barcelona, they were pressuring the government. The Italian community, they said that if the Italy's participant were being intercepted or anything, were being done anything to them, all the Italy will shut down the whole port and the whole system, and we know how that affect the Italy government economically speaking. So that is what we wanted to do. And Malaysia, we didn't have any complicit with the Israeli, and that is a good thing.
Right.
But we are in the mission to support the European countries or any countries that the countries that our government support the Israeli, and we are saying to the European, we are here with you, even though we don't have the complicit with the Israeli, but we are here supporting what you guys were doing.
Right. So at this point, saya nak menyimpang sikit. I'd like to digress a little bit and talk about interfaith dialogue. Apparently, you have taken part in interfaith dialogues on Gaza. How do we move the conversation beyond politics and religion and frame this clearly as a human rights issue? And I know if you look at the state of how we talk about it here in Malaysia, sometimes it's very fragmented. But when you go outside, you see a different story, or you gather different data. Can you please explain to us, in your interfaith dialogues, what have you learned with regards to it not being a political or religious issue, but a human right issue?
There is actually a bit of struggle here for us NGOs, but we have come to realization that is actually how we portray in our media, how we portray our advocate. So the interfaith dialogue that will happen, because we actually have Global Steering Committee, Tiago, and we have Brother Saif and also Cleo coming us, so we can show to the people that this is not a Muslim-centric thing. This is a humanitarian issue. And then when we spoke to the interfaith representative, we can see that this is actually a humanitarian issue, not a faith issue. And then we can see, like, since 2007, the people in Gaza has actually denied food, fuel, electricity, education, and medicine. So this is not about a Muslim thing. This is actually a human thing. And when we were being on the Global Smoke Flotilla, we met with people not wearing hijab, not wearing all fully clothed. There were actually some are atheists, some are Christian, some are we have mix of religion, and that actually bring us to attention that this is actually a humanitarian issue, because I believe that all religion actually shows that or shows that religion is about justice. It's about humanitarian crisis. We know that religion doesn't support genocide. We know that religion doesn't support injustice. So this has to be portrayed in Malaysian view, that even though we are not in the same religion, but we share the same values, which is the moral responsibility. We have the international law that shows that this is what we are doing is actually a human basic right.
So whilst that's happening, whilst we're giving people an understanding of what this is, and that it is a human rights issue and it's not a political or a religious issue, then the narrative is changed again. The world attention, the attention of the world will quickly shift from Gaza. Then it's now on Iran, it's now on Somalia. Of course, there are lots of different crises happening in the world as we speak. But how do you keep Gaza from being pushed aside in the global conversation, or how can we help do that?
I think suffering, we didn't compare suffer. We try to merge the suffer. Like we play like what is happening in Somalia, what is happening in Iran is the same is happening in Gaza. So we try to merge the suffering, the genocide that were happening, the bombardment that is happening in the other countries. And also when we're speaking about other countries, why are they being attacked? Because what is happening in Palestine hasn't resolved. That is what I can see. Because if whatever happening in Palestine doesn't resolve, we have being in the International Court of Justice, we have said that what Israel doing is actually a genocide, an ethnic cleansing. So and it didn't stop. Nothing happened. So they can use the same kind of crime to other countries as well, to other nations as well, and they can say like, oh, we are doing the same thing in Palestine and nothing happened, and we are doing the same thing too to other nations, and we know that nothing would happen because we have been doing this in Palestine for over more than 8 decades. So and for us to advocate what is happening in the country, in the world, is actually whatever happened, because I still believe, because in our Global Smoke Flotilla, I'm in Alma, I'm actually a bit glad to be partnering up with actually the grandchild of Nelson Mandela, which is Cos Mandela. He actually mentioned that when how related South Africa issue once with appetite, colonial to what is happening in Palestine. So we didn't say like, oh, what will happen in Africa is more suffered. No, we actually merge the suffering, and then we try to see what is more, the basic thing.
Having said that, I guess the more important thing or the focus now is on the next mission. The region, if you look at the region, it is becoming more unstable, especially in the areas of the Red Sea. Now, how is the flotilla preparing to manage these risks in the coming mission? And I'm sure you're going to be there too.
Yeah, I'm hopefully I will be joining. Probably if not as a participant, I hope as a trainer as well.
Yeah.
And I think Global Smoke Flotilla they are having a really strong steering committee, and I'm sure that they have checked all the security concern, the safety, because going through this sailing, it's not about just purchasing a ship and then go through an international water. No, they have to go to nation. Like previously, they have to deal with the Tunisian government, and then how Greece government give a protection, and then how Italian and Turkey deploy their naval ship. That is actually the nation participate.
There's a lot of behind the scenes work to be done in order to get that flotilla moving, which means public diplomacy. You have to get you have to speak to various governments on passing their waters and getting their help. And everyone, I'm sure most governments are more than happy to assist you.
Well, now we are hoping because Malaysia, you mean Malaysia or?
I mean, yeah, to help us out.
We hope that the Global Smoke Flotilla 1.0 makes the other nation more clear of what we are doing. We really hope that they can give us a clear pathway, because probably they are planning to maybe deploy from other countries as well, because we see how the support has been on Barcelona and how the global attention has been given to us through the Global Smoke Flotilla, and we hope that the Global Smoke Flotilla 2.0 can give.
Malaysia's or our government has announced a more direct role in the next mission, or at least that's what we're hearing. Now, how does this official state backing change the safety and the impact of the flotilla? Do you think it will have any impact?
Yeah, I think because other nation will follow, because they can see what Malaysia has been doing, because the first mission only Malaysia and Colombia government has been supporting. So this 2.0, we really hope that the other nation can support as well. And actually, when Malaysia gave us this kind of participation, we can see that the participant or volunteer from Malaysia actually give reassurance that we will be safe, we will be back safely, because the Malaysian government are with us on or not our behind. They are in front of us the whole time.
So it's great that we have the backing of the government in order to move forward, but we're still also hoping that there'll be a Smoke Flotilla 2.0, or at least I hear people talking about that at this point. Now, I understand that you're also looking for volunteers or new volunteers for those watching the program. Sorry, what can they do, or what is needed for someone to volunteer? If I want to become a volunteer, how do I know that I'm strong enough to be a volunteer?
The first, on this mission, they are changing the strategy. They are actually deploying more people who are professionals. We need more engineers. We need more captain. We need more medical.
Why?
Because we will make sure that 2.0 we can break the siege. Actually, we can go inside, and when we went inside, they can start to examine, or they can start to search, explore, to analyze what were needed the most in Gaza. And but they need actually public like me. And then what we really need, beside the educational aspect or professional aspect, I think more is mental readiness, because physical readiness is another thing, but the most thing is actually your mental preparedness. So because sailing for 30 days is not an easy journey.
It's not an easy journey, but also trying to approximate what is happening within.
Exactly.
Without, you don't know what's happening, and if you do go in, what happens next?
And actually we were being attacked throughout our mission, like 2-3 times. So that is actually giving us anxiousness what we're going next in the yellow zone, in the red zone. But that actually helped us to resonate to what Palestinians were facing throughout the 8 decades actually.
Now many people feel, for the lack of a better word, emotionally exhausted by the constant barrage of bad news. Now, what would you say to those who feel numb, and why the staying engaged still matter to us? Some people say tak ada kena dengan kita lah. Like why do I even want to think about it?
That's a lot of thing. I think because we are human, I also feel tired with the updatings, and we see killings every day, and now it has surpassed 700,000 people being killed. So it's human for us to feel numb and for us to feel tired, but being silent is actually an option. It's not a feelings. So we chose to stay silent, or we chose to stay concerned. That is the difference. And also speaking about when you say like this is not about us, it's about Palestinian, and I can say that we are more concerned about our family. We have said no, this is about Palestinian. I am more safe, I am more comfort in my zone. I have friends, I have families, I have job, I have kids. But do we even realize that what we're happening in the world now actually will come closer to us in Malaysia, and probably one day our kids will experience the same things as the Palestinian or other nation like Venezuela or Syria or Iran. Our kids would probably live the same way, because we don't know what will happen in the future, So we have to start now so that we can save the future for our children and for our generation, next generation.
Well, I remember a time, I think during COVID, and we did speak to a young girl in Gaza through phone, and she said, call me. I don't know if I'll be in the middle of a bombing site, or if you can't get me, my brother will answer the phone. But she really made an effort to stay by the phone and keep in touch with us, to give us information. And this is all happening, and we're getting all this from a child when we were doing that interview some time ago. And it made me think that how fast people need to grow up in order to be of service to the rest of your family and friends. And that got me thinking a lot, which brings me to my final question. For those of us who can't get involved or who cannot board a ship, what can ordinary people do from home to stay a part of this movement and to keep the pressure alive?
I think we all of us has our handphone right now. We have all type of technologies, and what we are facing now is a 24 live genocide. So we have all the resources, all the sources of news that we can just scroll from our Facebook or our social media pages, and everything about Palestinian is there. So if we couldn't be on the boat, and I'm sure that not everyone has the capability to be on the boat, but at least what we can do is we can share the stories, we can share all the true information, what were happening in Palestine, and that is the least, and actually the most, that is, even though it's the least, but it's the most important thing to keep the news going, to keep the to stop the silence.
And one last question for you, and to all the work you're doing, or all the people you work with regards to NGO work and also working towards the betterment of the people of Palestine. What is your goal in the next say 6 months? What do you want to achieve?
Well, I must say, I hope to be in the Global Smoke Flotilla 2.0, because that is the only way we could liberate the Palestinian, because we have tried the ground, we have tried through air, but now I can see like how the mission through sea is the probability for us to be with the Palestinian is higher compared to the other mission, and I really hope that I can be speaking, advocating more about Palestinian in the next 6 months, you say, yeah?
Right. So we'll check in with you in another 6 months. Thank you very much, IYLIA, BALQIS. It was a pleasure and an honor
Thank
to have you
you.
here. Now, the question of endurance doesn't end here. It follows us beyond the studio and into everyday action. Stay with Bernama TV for continuing updates and The Nation for the stories that matter. I'm GERARD RATNAM. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Gerard.